Hi, Ethan. Good to see you again. Hey, you went to a conference recently. Tell me all about it. What did I miss out on?
Oh, I went to a conference called DigiComm, which is arranged by New Zealand Institute of Buildings, and it brings the experts from the US, Australia, and also we have a few experts from New Zealand, and they talk about mostly digital economy and constructions. Some of the experts are not from the constructions, but they talk about the trending topics is AI and productivity, and other people talk about adoptions of AI in constructions and the real life applications. Some people will use AI as in design that we already discussed, for example, like rendering, presentations. Other people will talk about that topic also we already discussed, such as use of AI in safety. If somebody install CCTV camera at the site, and the AI will say, okay, this guy is not wearing safety vest, this guy is not doing that, and give a lot. So that kind of things. So mostly about AI. And after that, we have a lunch break, and followed by roundtable discussions. And then another experts came in and talked about timber constructions, which they have done in the US. And also one of my students, she was awarded because she sent an essay about construction productivity, and her essay was selected, and she was interviewed by the board member. And yeah, that was also a highlight. All right. So that's very general. And also one of the thing is for roundtable discussions, one interesting thing we talk about is in New Zealand, construction projects are too slow. Why is that? As the conference locations are Aotea Square, Queen Street, Auckland, Queen Street. So when you walk outside Queen Street, you can see the constructions, which is CRL line, City Rail Links. It has been built since 2000. Design was started in 2013. The construction was started in 2014, and now it's 2025. I came from Singapore, and in Singapore, every year we open 4 stations. And City Rail Link is building 4 stations, and now it's more than 10 years, and 4 underground stations, and more than 10 years. They can't open it yet. And I said, oh, because they say New Zealand people are not ready for being people are not trained yet. Some people regularly, that's a normal, what you always heard about. Trainings require, more expertise requires, etc. I said, no, it's not that. Because when you just go out and walk and you can see city railing, okay, who designed city railings? All the best designer, the top designer in the world, like Arab and other yeah, there are local architects as well, but Arab is one of them. WSP, maybe I think maybe WSP is in there. These are the top guy in the world. They perform, they are very competitive. They go to Hong Kong, Asia countries, and also all across the world. They bring all the expertise. Yet when it comes to New Zealand, the productivity is very slow. That's the designer. When you talk about the contractors are also French contractors. They are all over the world. They can build the most challenging, the most difficult walks, underground walks. They can do it. For example, like Dubai, the Palm Island is their walks, and Sentosa, Marina Bay Sands, all the underground walks and the reclamation walks are by them. So these guys came to New Zealand, and also the projects can't complete it until 10 years. So it's obvious that it's not the contractor problem because they are the best contractor. They have the best track record all over the world, not the consultant problem. Consultant has been performing all over the world. Then whose problem is that? So that means it must be the problem of the authority. They don't know how to regulate it. They don't know how to run the show. And they bring the best guy in the world. And yet these guys can't run as they want. So when I talk about that and people start confusing, oh, that guy is telling me, bringing a different perspective. And people usually they just say normal, thing like, oh, training required. No, it's not the training required because I know some of the architects came from other part of the world. And personally, I know from WSP, I know one from WSP, I know from Aura. And they are the top guy, they came to New Zealand. No, they can't perform. So that means something must be wrong from the government. When you submit the documents, not ready. The inspections are not, you can't fast track the construction. So there are a lot of hindering, I believe. So that's how is it. I think that's my observations. And that was my take for the seminar. And when I say like that, everybody's quiet during the roundtable discussion. So yeah, that's what happened. And after that, another roundtable discussion was a career. So yeah, careers is like my career, other people career, how they go, how they went from one point to another. Also, for the seminar, what I did was I met so many people. One of the person was ADNZ CEO, and we tried to, I invited to interview her for our podcast. And I also meet a few people during the seminar. So that's a very good for networking event and meet so many people. And I also met NZILB CEO, NZIQS CEO as well. Yeah, that's a highlight. That's a highlight of the events and networking and learning, knowing you and expressing what I got.
So, what lessons can we learn from your seminar, from your conference? What lessons can we learn and apply to the training of our students?
I think the training of our students is for the AI. So the main focus, all the peoples on this went to the stage that they talk about AI, how to embrace AI for that in the future. And also, as I mentioned, one of my students got selected and I think there were 16 students all across country and they were interviewed during that seminar. And their opinion is they want to, AI to be accepted in their workflow, in the future workflow. So for the tutor's perspective, for the assessment wise, when to assess their knowledge is a bit challenging, but you can't stop them to use AI to compose an email. So that kind of thing. So that is a way forward. Another thing is another guy on the stage, he talked about using AI to draft the contract, etc. Yeah, you can. Since you are using email, what about drafting the contract? That's possible. And then there's one thing comes to me and say that guy is saying that okay, all over the world that these AI things are going too fast, and regulations are not ready. And at one point, it sparks me. What if we let AI to write the regulations to control AI? That's very productive.
The, I must admit, when I was telling my students not to use AI to do any of their work, I felt like a fraud because I use AI all the time. Every day I'm using AI to do something. Is it transcribing a movie? Is it writing an article? It's fantastic to help you write good materials. The other day I was updating one of my manuals, one of my short manuals, and I got AI to help me write an advertisement for it. But of course, the interesting thing I thought was, why don't I ask ChatGPT to check all its other resources that it's got, compare it to my manual, and tell me what I'm missing from my manual? And it gave me 4 topics that I needed to put into my manual, which I thought was a great way of checking what you've done. And a student, if they knew how to use AI properly, they could write their assessment. They could get AI to check to see if they've covered everything that was needed to be covered. And of course, if the student knew how to use AI, you would never know that they'd used it because
Yeah,
they would have taught it to their style of writing. They would have given it the right kind of prompts to get it to give them the information they wanted. And they'd also read through it to make sure that what it had written was what they wanted it to say, which is what we do when we use AI. Now,
yeah,
but back to these big projects. some of these big infrastructure projects do take a long time anyway. They do. The Elizabeth line in England took 30 years to bring to fruition. So it's not like that. But so it does worry me that maybe construction is not considered to be a real job or a job that is a career, for example. I noticed that the BCITO have got a comedian going around with adverts saying there are so many different professions in construction. There are so many different ways to go. It worries me that in our construction industry, as soon as we have a slight downturn, we lose a lot of good quality contractors to Australia. When the New Zealand construction industry starts to grow again, they don't come back from Australia, they stay there. So we
Yep.
need to train a whole bunch of new ones. But maybe we're left with some who are not as experienced as we could have had.
Yeah.
They haven't got the experience. Maybe they haven't got the desire to treat construction as a passion. Like we've got a passion for teaching and a passion for architecture. We've been in this industry a long time. And it worries me that maybe we're ending up with some contractors who are not passionate about their career. And I think that shows in the lack of our night school students in terms of the architectural technology course, or particularly in Hawke's Bay, the lack of an evening course in the construction industry, because we just have such trouble getting them to see that this is a long-term career where they can migrate from one area to another, bring that experience through from working on the tools to being a construction manager. To me, that would be a great way to keep people in the industry. And we've talked about that before, so I guess we can leave that alone. It worries me that construction productivity in New Zealand is low. What did the conference say that we should do to improve that?
They have no idea. They have the idea is they think that they need to improve the procurement. They need to update the inspections, math inspections, because currently inspection is done by the council. So that's, we need to book for the councils, and it's just very slow because other countries, you can do 5 inspections as in a day and daily basics. It's impossible to do that. That kind of things they have to consider it. And the council who written for the inspection point, they may not familiar with the heavy industrial infrastructure project as well. There are a lot of things the process need to change. So that was the idea.
All right. It sounds like you learned quite a lot from it.
Yeah,
And
I
it
think so.
sounds like you had a good time.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for sharing the information with me. I hope other people find that interesting. I did see that you were at the conference. I was really curious as to what you were covering. And I realized I was missing out on some great information.
Yeah. If you want to listen more, if you want to know more, please don't forget to subscribe or like our Spotify. And it's great to see you, and I hope to see you again. Bye for now.
See you later, Ethan.